Hi, I'm Bud.
And I'm Renee.
On this stop, we're in the hometown of one of America's early aviation pioneers.
We're going to visit their birthplace and the Hangar Museum.
And we'll check out some of the sights around town. So come along with us as we explore Eden.
We're all packed up and we're ready to roll. We got 6 more hours to the next time zone. All of the God-given wonders we'll see. Hiking the trails with you beside me. There's nothing I'd rather do than explore Eden with you.
On this stop, we're in northeast Kansas. The sites we'll visit are in or around Atchison. The town sits along the Missouri River and was founded in 1854 by pro-slavery Missouri Senator David Atchison. The population would grow to 15,000 by 1870 and currently is less than 11,000. Our first stop is the Hangar Museum of Atchison's most famous resident. Amelia Earhart was born in Atchison, Kansas, July 24th of 1897. The Amelia Earhart Hangar Museum opened in April of 2023 to honor Earhart's aviation legacy. A digitally animated Amelia greets visitors at the entrance.
I'm truly honored you want to learn more about my amazing adventures. Perhaps they will inspire you to reach higher for dreams of your own.
The museum covers the impact Amelia's family had on her. Her mother, Amy Otis, came from an affluent family. An adventurer herself, Amy would summit Pikes Peak at the age of 21. Her father, Edwin Earhart, came from a poor family. He would earn a law degree from the University of Kansas. Amelia and her sister Muriel had an extended family that encouraged them to dream big and challenge limitations. The Earhart girls would wear bloomers at a time when most girls wore dresses. Growing up, Amelia kept a scrapbook of women who were succeeding in careers dominated by men. The times were changing with the advent of the automobile and airplanes, and in 1920, when Amelia Earhart took her first flight, women's long struggle for the right to vote came to fruition with the passing of the 19th Amendment. Around the museum are several interactive exhibits. This one lets you try on some of the careers that Amelia had.
I remember my first flight so clearly. It was just after Christmas in 1920. My father paid $10 for a 10-minute hop with Frank Hobbs. By the time I was 200 or 300 feet off the ground, I knew I had a plane myself.
The museum goes through the aviation timeline and how Amelia's life falls within it. These were some of the influencers on Amelia's adult life. You can page through the logbook of the Lockheed Vega 5B, the plane Amelia flew solo across the Atlantic Ocean. This exhibit covers women aviation pioneers from the beginning of manned flight to the present day. Two of the Pratt & Whitney R1340 Wasp radial engines powered the Lockheed Model 10E Electra, the plane Amelia used on her around-the-world flight. The Lockheed Electra 10E is the centerpiece of the museum. Only 149 of all variants of the Electra were built starting in 1935. The Electra was a very reliable aircraft. It had a maximum speed of 202 miles per hour, a cruise speed of 190 miles per hour, a service ceiling of 19,400 feet, and a range of 713 miles. Most would be pressed into service during World War II, and only a handful remain in existence today. This plane was saved from the scrapyard in 1980 by Grace McGuire. She spent 30 years restoring it to be identical to Amelia's, with the goal to fly the plane around the world. Health challenges would prevent her from achieving her goal. In 2016, the Atchison Amelia Earhart Foundation purchased the plane. It's the last E-10 in existence today and was named Muriel after Amelia's younger sister. Amelia's E-10, with the added fuel tanks, had a range of 4,100 to 4,500 miles and a flight time of 26 to 30 hours. Amelia and her navigator, Fred Noonan, would leave most of their emergency supplies behind to save weight. Their attempt to fly around the world would begin May 21st, 1937. The second floor covers the tools Fred would have used for navigation and how one small mistake could cause them to miss their objective. You can read through the scenarios of what may have happened on July 2nd of 1937 as they made their flight from New Guinea to Howland Island. After you read through the several scenarios, you can cast your vote on what you feel happened to Amelia and Fred. The hangar has a nice pilot's lounge if you fly into Atchison. The museum has a short video presentation, some flight simulators, and a nice gift shop. Atchison is known for its homes and mansions that supposedly have paranormal activity. If you're into that sort of thing, Visit Atchison gives tours of these homes. Our next stop is the home of Judge Alfred Otis, Amelia's grandfather. Mr. Otis had the home built in the Gothic Revival style on the high bluff overlooking the Missouri River in 1861. Amelia was born in this home in 1897. Her and her sister Muriel would spend most of their childhood years in this home. The tour begins in the entryway, and then to the left into the parlor, a formal space used to entertain visitors. Before bedtime, Amelia's grandfather would light a fire in the fireplace and tell Amelia and Muriel a bedtime story. Amelia's grandparents used the next room as a library, and Amelia loved books. She would memorize children's books at the age of 3 and would be an avid reader throughout her life. The collection, the works of Nathaniel Hawthorne, were given to Amelia by her mother. The sunroom was used for houseplants and cut flowers. The kitchen is now used as the gift shop. When Amelia lived here, her grandparents had 3 staff members to maintain the house: Lottie the cook, Mary the maid, and Charles the caretaker. Mary and Charles worked for the Otis family for over 30 years. The formal dining room was added to the house in 1873. The stained glass windows and the molding on the ceiling are original to the house. Amelia's grandparents passed away in 1912, and the house was sold and used as a private residence. In 1984, the house was purchased by Dr. Eugene Bryback, who donated it to the 99s along with $100,000 for restoration. The 99s is an international organization of licensed women pilots from 44 countries with thousands of members worldwide. Amelia Earhart helped found the organization and was its first president. The Butler Pantry now holds memorabilia from the Electra E-10 and the around-the-world flight during which Amelia Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, disappeared on July 2, 1937. Amelia's mother believed the Japanese had captured her daughter and Fred Noonan. The study is dedicated to George Putnam, Amelia's husband, an author and publisher. He helped organize her first Atlantic flight in 1928. And they would marry after her 1932 transatlantic solo flight. He published Charles Lindbergh's book in 1927. He would publish 3 books for Amelia, organize her 1932 public engagements and speaking tours, and support her in any way he could. This room was originally 2 bedrooms. Where I'm standing was Amelia's grandparents' room, and where the bed sits was Amelia's mother's room. Amelia was born in her mother's bedroom and named after her grandmother. Amelia would help develop luggage made from aircraft-related materials. The Ornstein Trunk Company launched the Amelia Earhart line in 1933. The same year, Amelia would launch her fashion line, designing the clothing herself. In the hallway is a painting depicting Amelia and her first plane, a Kenner Airster. She painted it yellow and called it the Canary. Muriel's bedroom contains a collection of memorabilia. The last bedroom upstairs is Amelia's. The girls would spend most of their childhood within this home until the age of 12, when they would move with their parents to Des Moines, then Minneapolis, and then Chicago, where Amelia would graduate from high school. This dresser was given to Amelia by her grandmother in 1904. During her life that lasted 39 years, Amelia set the women's altitude record, was the first woman to fly solo across America, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, the first person to fly solo from Hawaii to California, the first woman to fly an autogyro. She helped found the 99s, and she used her platform to chart a new course for women in both aviation and society at large. We're going to drive through the Benedictine College campus and then make our way to the Riverfront area. Benedictine College is a private Benedictine liberal arts college. It is highly ranked and has a student body of 2,100. The campus features a variety of architectural styles, including Tudor Gothic, Romanesque, and Prairie. The Riverfront area has a pedestrian trail, a children's park themed after the Lewis and Clark expedition, information on the Kansas Indians, the Lewis and Clark expedition, and a Veterans Plaza. The Veterans Memorial Park honors those who were wounded and those who died in service of our country. The monuments to the left and right honor Staff Sergeant Clint Wisdom and Specialist Don Clary. Both died in 2004 in the same incident in Baghdad, Iraq. There's a monument to those who died on the USS Arizona, and there's a piece of the ship that you can touch. The River Walk is about 3/4 of a mile, with benches, picnic tables, and great views of the river along the way. Our day starting off at Moreau Brown Memorial Campground within Warnock Lake Park, just on the southwest corner of Atchison. The RV camping area is basically a large loop with pull-out areas and electrical service. The sites are first come, first serve, which isn't a problem this time of the year. They're $15 per night, and there are 2 restroom areas with showers. Warnock Lake is 39 acres, allows no wake boating, and is stocked with fish including largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass. park has shelter houses, a playground, restrooms, picnic tables, barbecue grills, disc golf, and a 1-acre earthwork portrait of Amelia Earhart. The portrait was created by Kansas artist Stan Hurd in 1997. It lies on a hillside overlooking Warnock Lake and is composed of permanent plants, stone, and other natural materials. A viewing deck on a nearby hilltop provides the best ground views of the earthwork. The International Forest of Friendship sits on the southwest corner of the park. It contains trees representing all 50 states and over 35 countries. The forest is a memorial to the men and women involved in aviation and space exploration. The forest was a gift to America on her 200th birthday in 1976 from the city of Atchison, Kansas, the women pilots of the 99s, and the Kansas State University Kansas Forest Service. There's a memorial to Amelia Earhart. This American sycamore was grown from a seed taken to the moon by command pilot Stuart Rosa in 1971 on Apollo 14. Around the base of the tree are the names of the 17 astronauts who gave their lives in America's pioneering of space exploration up to 2001. Renee wanted to point out the persimmon fruit, which she says can be snacked on, used for salads or baking, and she said they pack a lot of health benefits. I've never had one myself. We're going to head back into Atchison to see a few things before we leave town. This is the Episcopal Church that the Otis family attended. Amelia Earhart was baptized here. Built in 1908, the old Atchison High School now serves as the middle school. It's the week before Veterans Day, and the light posts downtown have banners with the picture and name of Atchison veterans. The Atchison County Historical Museum is housed in the Atchison Railroad Depot. The museum goes through the early inhabitants in the area, and then the Kansa tribe, which inhabited the northeast area of the state when Europeans first arrived. Kansa translates to the people of the south wind, or wind people. The state's name comes from the Kansa tribe. Lewis and Clark and the Corps of Discovery would celebrate Independence Day, July 4th, 1804, on the banks of the Missouri River, just north of current-day Atchison. The town of Atchison was founded in 1854 and named after Missouri Senator David Atchison. Senator Atchison wanted to ensure Kansas would come into the Union as a pro-slavery state. The town was a pro-slavery bastion. Farmer and preacher Party Butler would give the first Christian sermon in the Kansas Territory. In 1855, pro-slavery men would put him on 2 logs and set him in the Missouri River with this flag attached. He would survive, and in 1858, when the town had its first election, Free Stater Samuel Pomeroy would be elected mayor. Between 1855 to 1859, Kansans would engage in guerrilla war between pro- and anti-slavery forces. Those years are referred to as Bleeding Kansas. Abraham Lincoln would give a speech in Atchison in December of 1859. One resident said, "You realize the awkward, imposing man who took the stage was probably the wisest man in the country once he opened his mouth." In 1861, Kansas would enter the Union as a free state. And in the 1860s, more wagon trains heading west left Atchison than any other port along the river. The Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway would be established in Atchison in 1860. Kansas entered the Union as a free state, and after the Civil War encouraged Black Americans to move there. However, segregation in towns and schools was the norm across most of the country. Lincoln High School was the African American high school in Atchison. Their 1936 basketball team would win a state championship. They were recognized for their ability, their conduct, and their pride. They would continue their careers and earn college degrees. They would be an inspiration for Black Americans in the area. The museum has an extensive weapons collection and many other exhibits that I just don't have time to cover in this video. Outdoors, there's a collection of rail cars available for viewing, and in the summer months, there's a 12-gauge railroad available for the kids to ride. We're going to cross the river and check out the Lewis and Clark, Missouri State Park. The campground within the park closed November 1st for renovations. It will remain closed through April 14th. It has 70 campsites, basic at $15 a night, 30 amp 27, and 50 amp 29. We're here for the Lewis and Clark Plaza. The road that leads to the plaza is closed November through March, so we'll have a little bit of a hike. The trail to the plaza is handicap accessible, and it goes through a natural prairie area. Lewis and Clark and the Corps of Discovery would stop here while traveling west, heading upstream July 3rd of 1804. The names of the Corps of Discovery members are on the inside and outside of the benches that encircle the compass rose. Normally to the west of the plaza is a lake. It has dried up this year. Lewis and Clark named it Gosling Lake. We're going to hike back to the truck and head down the road. Atchison was a rewarding stop. Amelia Earhart was an incredible person. The Hangar and Birthplace Museums do a wonderful job telling her story. The Riverfront area and Warnock Lake Park are great places to enjoy the outdoors. The Historical Museum is very informative. Atchison is only an hour from Kansas City and well worth the visit if you're in the area. Until the next one, take care of yourself and those around you and get out there and explore Eden.